Did you know that you can read anyone's mind using 3 simple techniques? In this piece, we'll explore what these techniques are and how we can use them. These techniques are crucial for mastering any situation. By mastering these methods, you can easily discern and understand what anyone is thinking. Let's look at a Buddhist story that will teach you how to read others' minds. The story begins like this. In a small village, a long time ago, lived 2 brothers. The older brother was blind, so he spent most of his time at home, while the younger brother worked as a farmer in the fields. Often they found their farm completely destroyed by wild animals. The younger brother was concerned about this problem, but eventually devised a solution. Following the farm incidents, he thought, "Why not ask my blind brother to help scare away animals in the fields? He could sit among the crops and alert if he hears any noise of animals. This way, we could ensure the protection of our crops." After considering it, the younger brother built a small hut in the field and took his older brother inside. He explained, "Brother, if you hear any animal sound, just shout and you'll scare them away. This will preserve our crops." The older brother accepted his brother's proposal and began his role in the field. Every time he heard the sound of animals, he would shout to scare them off. They continued this routine for several days. On one occasion, a deer swiftly crossed the field, knocking down part of the fence before fleeing. Soon after, a king chasing the deer also arrived at the scene. The monarch pointed to the blind brother and asked, "Have you seen a deer around here?" The blind brother replied, "Your Majesty, I am blind. How can I see a deer? However, I can tell you that the animal that left my field does not deserve your pursuit. You are wasting your time." The king was surprised by the blind brother's words and questioned how he knew this, doubting whether the blind brother was lying as he claimed to be blind, but commented on the deer's worth. In response, the blind brother said, "Your Majesty, the animal you think is a deer is actually a pregnant doe. I have never heard of a king hunting a pregnant doe, so I tell you it's not worth your pursuit. You shouldn't waste your time chasing her." The king was amazed to hear this, unable to comprehend how the blind could identify the doe as pregnant. He wondered how a blind person could know this, whether the deer he was chasing was pregnant or not. He felt the need to verify and instructed his commander, "Commander, I want that animal alive. I need to confirm if it is indeed a pregnant doe. The blind brother seems very certain about it, and I need to investigate. Please go and find out if she is pregnant." The king's orders were received by the commander, who set off. When he returned, he informed the king that the blind brother was right, and the doe was indeed pregnant. The king was filled with wonder and couldn't understand how the blind person knew about the doe's pregnancy. He asked the blind brother to get to the bottom of this, saying, "I may not be certain about whether you are truly blind or not, but I have come with a question. Will you commit to providing me the correct answer?" In response, the blind brother affirmed, "Your Majesty, you can ask me anything, and I will answer honestly." The king remarked, "You are a perceptive individual and seem to possess deep knowledge of various matters. Today I have summoned you to find out if my wife is being unfaithful or not." The blind brother replied, "Your Majesty, why do you pose such a question? Your marriage has lasted many years, and now such questions arise in your mind." "However," the king insisted, stating, "you must answer this question. If you do not provide an answer, I will subject you to the death penalty." Faced with the king's threat, the blind brother said, "Your Majesty, if you want to know the answer, you must grant me a favor." The king asked, "Tell me what I must do." The blind brother replied, "For that, you will have to leave me alone with your wife in a room." Initially, the king was irritated by the proposal, but eventually he agreed to the request and ordered his commander to leave the blind brother and the queen alone in a room. At that moment, the blind brother expressed his desire to have physical contact with the queen. At this declaration, the queen became enraged and lashed out at the blind brother with fury, using her hands, feet, and all her strength. After the altercation, the blind man managed to escape and went directly to the king. He then informed the king, "Your Majesty, your wife is not faithful." Enraged, the king drew his sword and headed towards the queen, posing a question and warning her that any lie would result in her execution. The question was about the queen's fidelity, to which she replied, "Your Majesty, you can kill me, but I am not faithful." The king felt relieved to confirm that everything the blind brother said was true. Hearing this, the king immediately went to the blind brother and inquired, "How did you know that my wife was not faithful?" The blind man replied, "Your Majesty, it's quite simple. I mentioned to your wife my desire to touch her, and she reacted with such fury that she started beating me. Instead of refusing, she opted for violence, thus touching my entire body in the process. Now tell me, how can a woman who acts in this way be faithful?" Impressed by the blind man's wisdom, the king said, "You are very perceptive. Let's continue. Answer another question correctly, and I will set you free." The king asked, "Tell me, am I really the son of my father or someone else?" To this, the blind brother responded, "Your Majesty, why are you concerned with this question? No matter who your parents are, you are the king of this kingdom. Let this question dissipate." However, the king insisted, "No, I want the exact answer. Otherwise, it will always torment me, so I wish to know the truth." The blind brother replied, "Your Majesty, I can reveal to you whose son you are right now, but first, I need your promise that you will not get angry." The king said, "I promise I will not be angry with you." Then the blind brother revealed, "You are indeed the son of your father, but also you are under the influence of a stingy merchant." Upon hearing this, the king rushed to his mother and asked, "Mother, please tell me the truth. Am I truly the son of my father or someone else? If you do not tell me the truth, I will renounce my life right here." The king's mother replied, "Son, you are indeed your father's child, but you are also under the influence of a stingy merchant." Relieved, the king immediately returned to the blind man and asked, "How did you know that the shadow of a stingy merchant was upon me?" The blind man answered, "Your Majesty, I have answered many of your questions correctly, and yet, so far, I have not received a single penny. From this, I deduce that you are extremely stingy." The king burst into laughter and said, "Whatever you ask for, I will grant it. But tell me, how do you know what is right and what is not? How can you provide such accurate and precise answers?" The blind brother said, "Your Majesty, I am blind by nature. If I had eyes, I could easily understand anyone's thoughts. The mind has its language, and this language is reflected in a person's body actions. By observing the eyes, lips, the way they work, and a person's activities, one can understand what is going on in their mind. Based on this, we can know anyone's thoughts. But I am blind, so I perceive through actions. If I want to know something, I have to assign a task to the next person to see how they perform the task, and based on that, I can understand what is going on in their mind." The king inquired, "Does that mean I can also understand someone's thoughts?" To this question, the blind brother responded, "Undoubtedly, you too can grasp anyone's thoughts, but before that you need to work on yourself. The work consists of quieting your mind and bringing it to the present. For this, today, I will reveal 3 very simple and accessible methods. However, Your Majesty, before we delve into it, you must perform an action. Concentrate your mind. When we focus our mind and connect it with the present moment, we can understand others' thoughts, as that person is thinking in the present. It's crucial to also bring our minds to the now. Only then can we comprehend their thoughts. If we are absorbed in past events, how will we know what the other person is thinking at this moment? We are immersed in past events. To decipher someone's thoughts, it's essential to first center our minds and bring them to the present." Continuing, the blind brother said, "Now, Your Majesty, I will reveal the 3 simple ways through which you can easily understand the thoughts of any individual." The blind man then shared with the king, "O Majesty, the first method is to pay attention to the eyes. When we have a conversation with someone, the most crucial thing is to focus on their eyes, as the eyes, though they do not speak, communicate a lot." I learned this skill from the Venerable Buddha Gautama many years ago when he was my teacher and guide. At that time, he had eyes and could discern people's thoughts just through their eyes. If you want to understand others' thoughts, you must concentrate on their eyes, their gaze, the direction they are oriented towards. If, while talking to them, their eyes wander from one side to the other, it indicates they are seeking a way to evade the conversation, and possibly someone is lying. If they avoid direct eye contact, it could mean they fear their deception being discovered and the truth coming to light. However, if they look straight at you without averting their gaze, it's likely they are sincere and willing to share their thoughts with you. Also pay attention to how their eyebrows move. If they lower their brows while shifting their gaze, it could be a sign of intense reflection or preoccupation with another matter. If, on the other hand, they raise their eyebrows and their eyes widen, they could be surprised or intrigued by what you're saying. Additionally, observe the size of their pupils, as these reveal much. By not taking their eyes off me, showing restlessness and a desire to leave quickly, I suspected that perhaps they were hiding something and did not wish to prolong the conversation. By asking more questions, I found out they had a secret plan. Similarly, different facial expressions can provide us access to a person's thoughts. Sometimes a person reveals different moods through their face. If we focus on facial expressions, we can discern if they are disillusioned, deeply sad, or extraordinarily happy. The eyes and body are the messengers of these feelings. In moments of sadness, these will reflect that emotion, while a genuine smile, one that lights up the eyes and lifts the cheeks, indicates joy, kindness, and benevolence. The eyes play a crucial role. When they narrow and shine, you can trust that the smile is genuine. Also, observe the space between the eyebrows, where the skin wrinkles. When it tightens and deepens, it often indicates confusion, deep thoughts, or the effort to understand something complicated. The second approach, Your Majesty, involves paying attention to body language. The body and hands have the ability to communicate a lot without using words, forming a sort of secret language. You can perceive what people want and feel through small actions. Picture someone who, while talking to you, quickly taps their fingers or makes a repetitive sound by hitting something. This could signal boredom, haste, or a desire to end the conversation. I remember an encounter where I met someone trying to sell me something. During our conversation, their fingers drummed rapidly on the item they were promoting. From this, I could interpret that they were either uninterested or anxious to conclude our talk. Conversely, when someone remains still and adopts a relaxed posture, it indicates they are paying careful attention. This behavior reflects their genuine interest and desire to hear more. I recall a shrewd professor who often assumed this posture. Though calm, he leaned in with interest, showing his eagerness to delve deeper into the subject. Sometimes people who constantly manipulate their faces while talking can give you clues about their thoughts. This gesture often indicates restlessness, deep reflection, or discomfort with something. Hand movements can also reveal a lot. For instance, if someone quickly touches their nose during a conversation, it might suggest they are lying or not being entirely truthful. Observing the attention they pay to our words and understanding what's going on in their minds can make it easier to interpret their thoughts. However, before doing so, it's crucial to center your mind and bring it to the present. Only then can you pay attention to all these actions, interpret them, and perceive what's happening in the person's mind. If you're wrapped up in past or future events, you'll never be able to attend to someone's body language and will never understand what they are thinking now. Your Majesty, let's move on to the third way. Before sharing it with you, it's imperative that you focus your mind. When we direct our attention and anchor it in the present, we can understand others' thoughts, as that person is immersed in the here and now. Likewise, it's necessary to bring our minds to the present, Only then can we capture their thoughts. Continuing with the third way, the blind brother said, "O king, to understand someone's thoughts, pay attention to their voice. The voice has the power to reveal much about what a person is thinking and feeling. Rapid and hurried speech may denote nervousness, anxiety, or excitement. In contrast, someone who speaks in a slow and relaxed manner is likely calm and in control. Also, observe the tone of their voice. A high and sharp tone may indicate anger or frustration, while a soft and calm one suggests tranquility and relaxation." I remember once talking to someone who pretended to be happy, but their voice was tense and high-pitched. This discrepancy raised doubts about their true happiness. The voice can also reveal emotions like when someone sighs, shouts, or laughs genuinely. By paying attention to the way they pronounce words and the tone they use, you can easily understand their thoughts and emotions. That's right, Your Majesty. These are the 3 ways I've shared today. Observe the eyes, the body language, and the person's voice. Focus your attention on these 3 aspects, and you will easily understand anyone's thoughts. However, remember, you must first focus your mind and bring it to the present. Only then can you pay attention to all these actions, interpret them, and perceive what's happening in the person's mind. In this way, you can know their thoughts and elevate your life. I hope this wonderful story has helped you understand how people you interact with in your daily life feel and what they might be thinking. Remember to leave a like if you enjoyed the video and subscribe so you don't miss more content like this. Thank you very much for staying until the end. See you soon.